We welcome you on this Friday, December 21st, 2018 for our HETV Game of the Week. I'm Ryan Fay with you inside the Perry Gym at Conant High School. As tonight in Mid-Suburban League West action, it's the Cougars of Conant High School facing the Red Hot Vikings of Fremd. Talk about the Red Hot Vikings, as mentioned, they come in with a record of 7-2 overall, 3-0 in MSL West play. As mentioned, winning 5 in a row, most recently coming off of a defensive discipline victory over the Palatine Pirates, in which for Fremd, they won that game by the score of 40-23. It wasn't the best shooting output for Fremd, as they only shot 39% from the field, but they held the Pirates of Palatine to only 30%. Now on the side for the Conant Cougars, they're coming back here to their home floor, having lost 2 straight, specifically just last week in a non-conference game here at the Perry Gym to the Hinsdale South Hornets, in which for Hinsdale South it was a back-and-forth game, but in the end it was the Hornets coming out with the victory and dropping Conant to the 500 mark of 5-5. While for the Cougars, though, they are 2-1 in MSL West play. The band's making it loud here at the Perry Gym as we get you set for tip-off and a whole lot more, as it's the Cougars and the Vikings next on HETV. As we get set for tip-off here at Conant High School, the Cougars in their home whites, while the Fremd Vikings in their road blacks with the green trim and numbers, while Conant has the dark blue numbers and letters. At the tip, it'll be Cayman Hopkins for the Vikings, and for the Cougars, it'll be Rajat Mattal, number 22. It'll be the Cougars going right to left to begin our first quarter of action. Vikings left to right, and underway we go. Vikings control the opening tip. Imagine this is a Vikings team winning 5 in a row coming into action on the road here tonight, unbeaten in Mid-Suburban West Conference action. While for Conant, they're coming off of 2 losses, one at home recently to Hinsdale South, as we talked about in our open. Pass batted back into the backcourt, allowing for the Vikings Bryce Hopkins, the brother of Cayman, to bring it back into the front court. 8-minute quarters, just underway, no score, 30 seconds in. Alongside Bruce Anderson, I'm Ryan Fay with you here on our HETV Game of the Week on this December 21st, 2018. Here in the Perry Gym at Conant High School. All moving around the perimeter as it's Bryce Hopkins for the tray, no good. Shot was a little short, and the Cougars take control. As that was Jonathan Kolev, the 6'4" guard and forward. Play multiple positions, that's why they list both positions on the roster, as the pass inside and the shot attempt originally no good from Devon Ellis, but the second chance putback from Kolev is good, and it's the Cougars who strike first on the board, 2-0. This was a Cougars team that lost here at home not that long ago, 65-57, in a close one to the Hinsdale South Hornets in non-conference action. Or for Conant, or I should say Fremd, excuse me, it's been their stellar defense so far this season, 7-2 overall, 3-0 in conference play. It's a 40-23 victory over Palatine just recently. Back to the top of the circle as it's Smiro, says the shot is no good as the officials call it travel on Cayman Hopkins, the 6'5" junior.
And last week we saw Conant losing at Schaumburg, putting on a very impressive comeback attempt.
Yeah, 3 teams in the West, 2-1 in conference play. Schaumburg being one of them, as Bruce mentioned. Conant 2-1, and so is Barrington. Baseline dribble and a right arc 3. Anthony Wacko from downtown, and it's 5-0 Cougars off to the nice start 2 minutes into the opening quarter. And that's kind of been the theme for Fremd, rather, as they've been the team so far this season out of the teams in the West that have gotten off to good starts. You go back to that game against Palatine, they started off the game with 8 straight points. Baseline pass to the left corner, the fake, and the shot is up, and it is good from downtown. That's John Smiros, the 6-foot senior guard, and the Vikings now on the board, trailing by 2.
So Fremd closing the gap very quickly there.
This was a Fremd team that, against Palatine, didn't shoot well from the floor in that win against Palatine, only 39% from the field. And they held the Pirates, though, of Palatine to only 30% shooting on the defensive side of things, as the nice move in the paint and finishing strong for the Cougars was Devon Ellis, the 6'4" sophomore. As quickly back the other way, left corner three, no good. That was Jake Schofstall. Second chance, put back, fall short. Third time's the charm, no good. And a whistle and a foul, as that was Kamen Hopkins in the mix for the Vikings to get the shot up. As the foul there went on Rajat Mittal, the 6'4" senior forward. That's his first personal. Shooting foul puts Kamen Hopkins at the line for 2. His brother Bryce had 8 points in that win over Palatine last Friday. As the first free throw off the back rim, no good. Bob Wildowski, the head coach of the Vikings, sitting at 298 career wins. You have to imagine within the next week with the upcoming holiday tournament over at Wheeling, he'll get to that magic number of 300. As the second free throw is good, so 1 of 2 at the line there was Kamen. 7-4 our score, 4:50 to play in our opening quarter on our HGTV game of the week.
We've seen a lot of missed free throws.
As this stolen along the baseline, that was Smiros, as the Vikings try to go in transition. At the top of the circle, John Smiros, the 6-foot guard. Off to Bryce Hopkins, then Kamen. Both these teams are, when we talk about matching them up, this is teams that maybe take a half second or a second tops to pass the ball. As this one quickly working inside, it's a Hopkins brother to another, Bryce to Kamen for 2. And Bruce mentioned it earlier, Fremd able to close the gap quickly. It was a 5-0 start for Conant. Now it's only 7-6, Conant with the lead. As Mittal from the left corner. Ball work around the perimeter. Ellis drives baseline. That one may have been blocked. As Bryce Hopkins the other way. One hop pass in and a block foul, and Anthony Walker will be called inside the paint.
I think that was blocked by the bottom of the rim. Too far underneath for that layup attempt.
Be the second team foul, as that's Walker's first personal. That puts Dean Gannis at the line, the 6-foot senior guard. 3:48 to play in our opening quarter, as the first free throw off the front iron and in. A couple new Cougars now checking on in, as Jason Kofer will check on in, along with Rainer Roque, number 23. As coming off will be Dominic Benini and Jonathan Kolev to the bench. No changes on the side for Fremd. As the second free throw from Gannis is good. So now it's the Vikings in the lead for the first time tonight, 8-7. And in the front court with it is Jason Kofer, the 5'8" senior guard. High pass inside for Ellis, high risk, and that one's a turnover. Left corner, Smiros.
We saw a fair number of unforced turnovers last week against Schaumburg.
As a 3-ball opportunity off the front rim and no good. Tipped around for a moment. Shot there from Gannis. Rockel now in transition. And Conant coming off of 2 losses in a row here in the action tonight, while it's Fremd that's had the hot hand out of the Mid-Suburban West with 5 wins in a row. They're 7-2. Schaumburg has the most wins as a whole, as they're 8-3 on the season. As the foul there went on Dean Gannis. That's his first personal. As in now for Fremd is Tim Carlisle. As that sends Schofstall to the bench. Only change for personnel out on the floor. As we now have under 3 minutes to play in the first. 8-7 Fremd. Mittal at the top of the circle, guarded by Bryce Hopkins. Swung now to the right corner. Mittal rotates around as the Cougars work around the top of the circle, and a top key 3, too strong on that one. As that one was Dylan blocked. Second chance. That one blocked away. And back come the Vikings. Bryce Hopkins. Swung to the left corner, and not going to be a shooting foul, as those Gannis trying to sell that to be in the act of shooting, but to no avail. As the foul goes on block, that'll be his first. That'll be the team's third. as Panini now comes in for Conant, and Kofor heads off. So Kofor out there for maybe a few minutes of this quarter, as off the screen, shot no good. Second chance, no, but the third time works. It's Cayman Hopkins with a couple of offensive boards, then 2 points, 10-7 Fremd.
Well, that hurts when you give them 3 chances.
And that is a foul. There's a little pressure being shown by Fremd, as a little greedy there were the Vikings, as they're going to get that one on Bryce Hopkins. Be his first personal. As you've got Boz Carafili now coming on in, along with Brandon Blakely. As that'll send off Roque and Walker to the bench for the Cougars. Under 2 minutes now to go. 10-7 Vikings in mid-suburban West action. Was the left corner, it's Benini, and the bounce pass deflected off of Bryce Hopkins, out of bounds. Puts Jake Schaufstahl now back into the game for Fremd. Gannis will head off. We got 1:46 to play here in our first quarter. In at the left arc to get that inbound was blocked. And Conant losing here at home to Hinsdale South not that long ago, and trying to turn that around with the result nicely there was Rajat Mittal. And they're back within 1. 10-9 with 1:26 to play in the first. It was a close game in that contest, as Devon Ellis had some late buckets, but it was Hinsdale South able to pull away in the end, as the shot misses there for Fremd. Perimeter work here for the Cougars with now 1 minute to play, and we get a whistle on an offensive foul. We got an illegal screen attempt there, as that one went on Benini, the senior point guard. It'll be the 4th team foul, as Devon Ellis now will come on in. And the same thing with Anthony Wackel. 10-9 in this conference battle. Visiting Vikings with that 1-point lead. Carlisle to the top of the key. Left arc, thinking about the 3 there with Schaufstahl. He gets into the paint, takes a Eurosteps-esque move, and extends the Vikings lead back to 3 with under 40 seconds to play in the first. Good ball control from the 6-foot junior, getting into the paint on that sequence.
And good body control, the way he contorted to get that up.
Able to avoid contact from even his own teammates in the paint, as the bounce pass skips to the right corner with 15 seconds to go. Conant holding for possibly the final possession. Carafili with 6. Benini at the top, and a whistle and an offensive foul. As Jonathan Kolob getting the explanation from the official. So nothing doing for the Cougars on that possession. Now in 4.5 seconds, the Vikings have a chance to get a couple passes and a bucket attempt in. As it goes to Bryce Hopkins with 3 seconds, pass poked away, and it stays in the front possession. Shot is not going to count though. As a nice late effort though from Jake Schaufstahl will not count. And that's how the first quarter comes to an end. And the score will remain at 12-9 in favor of the visiting Fremd Vikings over the Conant Cougars on our HGTV Game of the Week. Alongside Bruce Anderson, I'm Ryan Fay here with you at the Perry Gym of Conant High School. Fremd leading the Mid-Suburban West, coming into action tonight at 3-0, 7-2 overall. And then you've got 3 teams right below them in terms of conference record at 2-1 respectively. Barrington, Schaumburg, and you're seeing here Conant. Barrington also at 7-2, Schaumburg 8-3, and Conant sitting at 5-5. And in the bottom tier of the West, you've got Hoffman Estates and Palatine yet to register a conference win at 0-3 respectively, while Hoffman's 4-6 overall, Palatine at 3-6. As we're about to begin second quarter action. Alongside Bruce Anderson, I'm Ryan Fay. We thank you for joining us on this Friday, December 21st, 2018. Want to wish everybody out there a happy holidays, whoever you may be celebrating. And for these teams going forward into the holiday break, it'll be the Vikings that are going to be heading off to the Wheeling Hardwood Classic, which will begin next Wednesday, the day after Christmas. And then the Cougars of Conant head to the infamous York Jack Tosh Classic. And one of the surprising things about that tournament, Bruce, for one of the fellow teams in the Mid-Suburban West, the Schaumburg Saxons, they're actually going to be playing York at York before the tournament even begins. So they're even going to get some of that, you know, court-esque feeling before that tournament play does begin.
Well, that could be a help to them.
Get a feel for the court before the 32-team tournament begins next Wednesday and going all the way to New Year's Eve. As at the left arc, as we begin the second quarter, three-pointer attempt falls short from Benini. Offensive rebound gives the Cougars the ball back. High pass inside for Ellis. It's the second time they tried to do that. Possession will stay with the Cougars as Smiros stepped on the baseline. 7:36 here to go in our second quarter, just underway. Malko off the inbound, driving baseline. Left corner baseline three is no good from Kolav, and we get a whistle and a loose ball foul. That's going to be on the Vikings, as they'll have a couple subs come on in.
So now it's Conant getting the second and third chances out there. Got to help the offense.
That was Tim Carlisle on the foul. As you've got Cayman Hopkins now in, along with Dean Gannis. He's taking the seat to the bench there. Coming in for a moment was Charlie Towns, seeing action for the first time tonight, and also Tim Carlisle heading off. In now for Devon Ellis to the right corner. Benini, the three-pointer is up, and it is no good. Off the side of the rim, controlled by Fremd. Pass batted, good awareness. And Cayman Hopkins keeping possession alive as the baseline drive from Schofstall doesn't get the shot off as he was fouled. As the foul that will be on Devon Ellis. That'll be his first. And at the line shooting two will be Schofstall. 6-foot junior guard, his team up by 3. And now 4. And Carlisle quickly back in for the Vikings. Smiros will head off.
So Conant coming out with a lot of energy to start that period, but just not able to convert it into points.
Second free throw off the back iron, and it's Bryce Hopkins with the rebound. He turns around nicely in, and that turns into a three-point play in the end as the Vikings now go up by 6 at 15-9 with 6:54 to play here in the first half. A 30-second timeout on the floor. Charge to head coach Jim Maley, the 4th, and the Conant Cougars. That's their first timeout use of the half. They've got 4 remaining. Fremd still has all 5 of theirs.
And that's scoring 3 the hard way.
And earlier, before we got our action started here tonight, it was the sophomore Fremd Vikings getting the 51-23 victory on this floor before the varsity tip-off happened here tonight. Remember a couple weeks ago, Bruce, when we had some of the women have start off the doubleheader, and it was, I believe, we were at Hoffman Estates where that game went into overtime.
Right.
We were even delayed in that one, but none of the sorts here in the sophomore game, as they wrapped up rather more earlier than the warm-ups had begun. As you get the usual 15 minutes before the regularly scheduled 7:30 tip-off, Fremd actually came out onto the floor thinking they had the time to warm up and they could use the court. And they told him, you got to go back in the locker room. We still got time to kill.
Yeah.
As a shot here from Mittal is off the glass, no good. The rebound to Carlisle. Some of the Fremd players were, with body language, not even happy about it, as Bryce Hopkins is short off the front rim, and the rebound to Mittal. Because you have to imagine, Bruce, if you're out there warming up, you're getting ready to be in game mode at that point.
Yes, you are getting physically and mentally ready for the game.
Walker with control at the right arc. Benini to the left corner and Kolev, who gets it back. Approaching 6 minutes to go. Still 15-9 Fremd. Mittal to the elbow. A lot of perimeter work as they finally go into Mittal. And that's a travel, I believe, or are they going to call 3 seconds? Either way, a call was going to go on him. It's going to be Vikings basketball. Smiros now in for Carlisle. No changes for Fremd. I beg your pardon, there was one, Jason Kofer, who didn't check into the scores table like you're supposed to, young man. But nevertheless, he checks in. Benini heads off. Pass tipped off Mittal's fingertips. They'll stay with Fremd with 5:32 to go in the half. And looking over to the other side of the conference in the East, you've got 3 teams at 3-0 in the East Conference of play. Buffalo Grove and Prospect sitting at the top. Buffalo Grove has the edge though, as they're 6-3 overall. Prospect at 5-5. Smiros, as it goes to Bryce Hopkins at the baseline. No look pass, top of the circle 3, no good. And this one will be on the floor, controlled by Bryce Hopkins. A lot of second chance opportunities for the Vikings here in this half, as Bryce Hopkins goes up for 3 and it's no good. Walker the rebound. Bryce Hopkins trying to go for that steal there for a moment.
Boy, he's really hustling out there.
In all phases as Ellis backs out to the top of the circle. Mittal in, trying to body his way in but can't. It's Fremd doing a good job of not allowing any easy shots to go up on the side of Conant. Kolev driving, Mittal, jumper. Does not get the friendly roll as it hung on there for an extra second or so. Fremd now the other way. Bryce Hopkins, no look pass, nice feed, and a nice finish. Jake Schofstall, 17-9 Vikings.
So once again, Conant experiencing that pressure defense that they've been so famous for the last few years.
Mittal over to Kolev at the right wing. Ellis, now Kofer. And Conant trying to get into its set here inside, but Fremd pushing him out to the perimeter. As now they get inside towards Mittal, who swings it. Ellis. Now they get Mittal inside. They've been looking for him. Good feed to Ellis, who they don't call a foul, but they will there as Kolev gets the reach. Just trying to slow the pace down, essentially, not letting Fremd get into a quick transition. They've got a hockey line change and +1 for Conant. You've got Dylan Block, Bas Karaphilian, along with Dominic Benini. Now was a 17th foul, by the way, on the Cougars. So now that puts the Vikings in the 1-1 for the next 3:27. 1-1 falls short. Ball can be in play. Second chance, reverse attempt there from Ganis, no good. Top of the circle 3, right rim, no. Bryce Hopkins, the offensive board. He finishes inside. And it's now a double-digit lead for the Vikings. And what hustle so far through one half of play from the 6'5" senior guard and forward, Bryce Hopkins, Bruce.
He's been all over the floor. He's been shooting, getting his own rebounds, going for steals. Having quite the game so far.
Looking at the scoreboard side of things, you have Schofstall with 5 for Fremd. You've got Kamen Hopkins, the brother of Bryce, with 3. And in terms of all the hustle points, it's Bryce Hopkins leading the way for everybody in that department. As we have 3:14 to go here in the first half. It's a 19-9 lead for the Fremd Vikings in this mid-suburban West action.
And Conant coming out with a hot start and a quick 5-point lead, and then Fremd catching up and then pulling away.
I mentioned for Fremd, they're going to be in the Wheeling Hardwood Classic next Wednesday. They'll be opening up that tournament against Libertyville. Some of the other teams will feature some MSL teams out of the East, featuring Buffalo Grove and Prospect, two teams that are sitting at the top of the conference over on the other side of the Mid-Suburban League. And then for the Jack Tosh tournament over at York, you're going to see Schaumburg and Palatine in it, as well as Elk Grove. So the MSL is represented well in the Jack Tosh tournament that features some really good teams in it. Of course, the host in York and Batavia, Brother Rice, Riverside, Brookfield. Sounds like a killer tourney. Yeah, it stretches over a 5-day span towards New Year's Eve and beginning the day after Christmas. One of the unique things about Jack Tosh, with them being so many teams, they actually have to play that 5th day and go into New Year's Eve. They do have the off day on the 30th. Well, more of the other tournaments that are in play, like Wheeling and the Hinsdale Central Holiday Classic, they play straight Wednesday through Saturday, the 26th to the 29th. There's a nice spin move inside, but the shot falls short from Benini. But it's one of the things you cherish in high school sports are those Christmas holiday tournaments. And then you get the Thanksgiving tourneys to really kick off the IHSA basketball season. There's a nice finish there from Cayman Hopkins, makes it 21-9 Fremd.
So Conant just ice cold offensively here in the second period.
As we now have 2 minutes to go in this half, 21-9 Fremd, whose stingy defense coming in here winning 5 in a row as the bank shot falls no good for Brandon Blakely. Back the other way comes Fremd.
Has Conant scored in this period?
That's going to be a charge on Schaufstall. There was one bucket. Oh, it's been really lopsided in the second quarter box score, to say the least, as Devon Ellis comes in along with Jonathan Kolev and Anthony Wackel. So you've got Benini, Wackel, Mittal, Kolev, and Ellis, the 5 out there for Fremd, or I should say Conant rather. And for Fremd, you've got the Hopkins brothers in Kamen and Bryce, along with John Smiros, Tim Carlisle, and Dean Gannis. Wackel turns around at the free throw line, extended left. Mittal, as we have 80 seconds of regulation to go in the half. Swung around Kolev. Back inside Mittal to Ellis. And Fremd just not giving anything up easy to this Cougars team, as off the screen, Kolev for 3.
Boy, they needed that.
Back down to a single-digit deficit for Conant, 21-12. As you mentioned, points have been hard to come by for Conant here in this quarter. Kind of that 3 just for Conant, just kind of gives you that, deep breath to be like, okay, we know we can score against this Fremd defense. Now it just has to try to carry over into the second half as we wind down the final 32 seconds of this first half. Fremd appearing to hold for the final shot.
But if you're Conant, you want to be able to penetrate, get in the paint, get some high percentage shots, and they haven't been doing that.
And more so, Fremd hasn't allowed them in the paint for the most part.
Right.
15 on the clock, as it's Bryce in control with 10. They're looking to go back to a double-digit lead on this possession to end the half. And go into the locker room with plenty of momentum, as Bryce Hopkins is going to do, or try to do that, as the full court shot from Mittal falls way short. And that's how the first half comes to an end. But a dominant second quarter from the Fremd Vikings has them go into the locker room with a 9-point lead at 21-12, as we'll come back for second half action and a whole lot more in just a little bit here on HETV. About to get set for second half action, as it's a 21-12 lead going into the second half for the visiting Fremd Vikings over the Conant Cougars, as both teams now take the floor. Alongside Bruce Anderson, I'm Ryan Fahey with you on our HETV Game of the Week on this Friday, December 21st, 2018. Both teams sitting near the top of the conference. Fremd leading the conference at 3-0, Conant 2-1. It'll be Fremd going right to left on your screen and Conant left to right as the second half is underway. Vikings in their road black uniforms with the green trim and numbers and lettering. And for Conant, they're in the home whites with the red and dark blue trim and the blue numbers and letters.
I think that's actually a deep forest green instead of a black.
I wonder if Crayola has a deep forest green color then out of the Crayon collection. As this pass is stolen away. And this is a Cougars team that's been looking for any kind of offense. They had a late three from Jonathan Kolev in the final minutes of the second quarter, as the put-up attempt from Rajat Mittal is no good. And just when you want to see Conant try to get a break, they don't. Mittal now at the line shooting two. Conant trying to really feed Rajat Mittal, the 6'4" forward, into the paint, but Fremd not having any much of it, as the first free throw he sinks. Cuts the deficit now down to 8, as Mittal now has 3 points. This is a stingy Fremd defense that's won 5 in a row, 7-2 overall on the season. And the second free throw from Mittal falls through. So he goes 2 for 2 in that sequence.
And last week we saw Conant make a frantic comeback attempt down by about 15 at Schaumburg, able to close it to 5, but not able to get it completed.
It's kind of been a recurring theme here for Conant. I mean, you go back to that game last week against Hinsdale South, and they made another rally, but it was just they couldn't finish in the end, completing that comeback. As you mentioned, they weren't able to finish it last week against Schaumburg, as it's Cayman Hopkins inside and off the glass. Thank you very much, Jake Schaufstall, making it 23-14.
And able to get that through a double team.
Wackel top of the circle to Mittal. Benini over towards the far corner. Kolev, who thought about the three, being guarded there by Dean Gannis. Pass inside for Devon Ellis, who is fouled. Fremd crowd not liking that one. That's made the trip out here, as Bryce Hopkins called for the foul. That'll be his second personal, first team foul of the half, as Charlie Towns now will come on in for Bryce Hopkins. As he'll go off and get a breather. Devon Ellis, who helped lead that late rally against Hinsdale South that fell short. As now left corner, Wackel, three, in and out, no good, and it's out of bounds to Fremd. Been a lot of shots here, Bruce, from Conant that have been good looks, just the rim has not been entirely friendly to them, or lucky for that matter.
Seems like it kind of squeezing shut on him here tonight. They need to stretch it out another inch or so to get those shots to fall. Inside,
it's Towns with a nice fake, but he misses the layup. A big miss there for the 6'2" junior. And almost an essential clean look at the rim and backboard, but just couldn't finish. As Wackel, the football star here at Conant that led them to a successful year. We saw plenty of their games this season, Bruce, during the late fall season.
Yes, we did. A wonderful comeback from the season before.
And that was a team, we sat through some rain, we sat through the cold, even some snow. We had everything here at Conant for football this year for our times here, as a swing pass to the left corner, Kolev driving, bounce pass, Ellis, count it, and the foul. A strong move from the 6'4" sophomore to go to the free throw line for the and one.
And Conant finally catches a break here offensively. A chance to make up a little ground here. 23-14. Chance to make it 15. Conant needs points.
Again, Conant cuts the deficit back down to single digits. They now put the 2 points up on the scoreboard. 23-16 with the free throw impending, as Ellis makes it a three-point play. So 23-17, now under 5 minutes to go in the third. Gannis at the free throw line, backs out. towards the perimeter and dumps it off to Smiros, and Ganis gets it right back. That pass was tipped, and it's stolen from Conant. Stolen by Conant, rather, I should say. As some pressure into the front court is trying to bring that in was Benini, but he faced Dean Ganis. And Ganis will finally get his steal that he was looking for, and in transition, he scores.
And Ganis makes it look easy.
He's now got 4. And it's 25-17 Vikings with 4:05 to go. Ellis gets tripped up, and he falls to the floor as the foul will go on the aforementioned Dean Ganis. And that's his second personal, team's 3rd of the half. Or I should say team 4th, excuse me. 4 minutes now to play, halfway through this 3rd quarter of action. 25-17 Fremd. Benini with the fake, but he traveled. He wanted to give it to Ellis, but he got caught with that extra step as Kofer comes in along with Brandon Blakely. As Benini and Kolev will head off. And a timeout now called by Bob Wildowski and the Fremd Vikings on the floor. They have the 8-point lead, 25-17, with 3:49 to go here in the 3rd quarter. It's been an all-around collective effort offensively for the Fremd Vikings. All 5 of their players on the floor have contributed. You got Schofstall with 7, Ganis with 4, Smiros with 3, and then the Hopkins brothers are Bryce and Kamen. Bryce with 4 and Kamen with 5. For the Conant Cougars, we've got Ellis, who's got 5, Mittal with 3, and also Wacko with 3. They have, out of those 3, 11 of the team's 17 points so far scored here tonight. As the cheerleading squad on the floor with a quick timeout performance out on the floor.
A little high flying act there from the cheerleaders.
As they were gonna do one more, but the buzzer went off saying the timeout's over, you better wrap up. So 4 timeouts left down for Fremd, 3 for Conant.
So things not quite so easy for Fremd here starting off the 2nd half.
Yeah, at least in terms of the offensive side, defense has still been well, as Conant's been trying to just claw their way back in, as little backcourt pressure shown. From try to go inside with numbers, and they do with an excellent feed to Kamen Hopkins. What a pass from John Smiros, and it's back to a double-digit lead for the Vikings at 27-17. What a thread-the-needle pass, as a steal attempt doesn't go, as Devon Ellis takes advantage. 27-19. Approaching 3 minutes to go in the 3rd. The theme of this quarter, Bruce, has just been when you think Fremd tries to pull away and really say that this game is theirs, Conant just finds a way to claw right back with an extra field goal or 2 in that process.
That's the way it was last week, just not going away.
And a nice reverse there, countering my point, Bryce Hopkins, 29-19.
Fremd not letting up.
Mittal at the top. Wacko at the left arc. As Jonathan Kolev will come in just a moment for Fremd, or for Conant. And the same would go for Dominic Benini. Far corner, it's Blakely. A lot of perimeter passing here in this sequence for Conant as we approach 2 minutes to go in the 3rd. Wacko, oh, he wanted to go for the crossover, but it's picked off by Ganis, and he does it again in transition. His 2nd steal, and off of a turnover, he converts it into points. Biggest lead for the Fremd Vikings tonight. It's up to 12 with 1:55 to go in the third. And the Vikings have a 31-19 lead. As it's been Dean Gannis with a couple of steals here in the last few minutes of this quarter to turn it into 4 more Viking points.
And just when you think Conant's going to be able to claw back and make it a closer game, Fremd puts their foot on the gas and pulls away.
I mentioned this matchup. Conant tied for second in the conference at 2-1. Tied there with Schaumburg and Barrington. Barrington with a 7-2 record, same as Fremd. Schaumburg has the most wins in the entire Mid-Suburban Conference with 8, as they sit at 8-3. As for the Vikings, looking for their 6th straight win, heading into that Wheeling Harwood Classic. And what's kind of interesting about that Harwood Classic is that you look at some of the preliminary reports about, you know, what teams can have the favorable run to winning that tournament. Fremd isn't really listed even in the top 4, and that may be a little surprising in ways, but this would be a team you want to watch out for if you're heading out to watch that Wheeling tournament.
They are looking very good here tonight.
And I know the teams of St. Viator, Geneva, Waukegan, Glenbrook South that are going to be participating. Don't sleep on this Fremd Vikings team if you're going to keep up with the Wheeling Harwood Classic. As I would say, coming into that tournament, it's the Vikings that are going to be riding the hottest hand out of the 16 teams. As Mittal fighting hard in the paint to finish.
And Mittal not having much luck yet tonight, able to finally get some points.
It's now 5 for the 6'4" senior forward. Carlisle at the top, looking for somebody to go to. Gannis gives that one to Smiros left corner. Smiros with a no-look inside for Cayman Hopkins, or I should say Bryce rather, the brother of Cayman, with the reverse. 33-21. Back to a 12-point lead for the Vikings, under a minute to play in the third.
That was an amazing pass.
An amazing pass and a better finish as well. Using the rim as protection was Bryce Hopkins. Ellis top of the key. Wanted to go in for Mittal. Bryce hustling for it. It's out of bounds. It'll stay with Conant. As Abaz Kirafili now will come on in as Ellis checks out. Jack Schofstall will come in for Dean Gannis. And Charlie Towns in for the Vikings, and he'll replace Bryce Hopkins, who doesn't appear pleased to be coming off right now, actually. As risky passer gets into Mittal at the left elbow, and he goes inside to the right part of the hoop, and he's fouled by Cayman Hopkins, and Mittal will be at the line to shoot 2. It's the 5th team foul for the Vikings, 2nd personal on Cayman, the 6'5" junior forward. As Mittal's first free throw is good.
That could really help Conant down the stretch. They have no team fouls yet.
Bryce will come right back in for Towns. And you got Reiner Roque in for Anthony Walker. Saw a little bit of Roque back in the first half. 35 seconds to play in the third, 33-22. And number 22 for Conant has that second free throw rim in and out. And with 30 seconds to go here now in the third, you have to imagine Fremd holding for the final shot. They had the late attempt by Schofstall, but the clock had expired and it didn't count. As Bryce thought about trying to drive in and backs out with 15 now. Bryce Hopkins with 10, puts a spin move on, left corner with 6. And with 4.1 seconds on the clock, a whistle and a foul on the Cougars. As they get that one on Dominic Benini, his second personal. And that's the first team foul of the half. As it gets in for Bryce Hopkins, left corner, he drains the 3, and the third quarter comes to an end.
And what a way to end it for Fremd.
7 points now for Bryce Hopkins, and it's now a 14-point lead for the visitors going into the fourth quarter. And that may be perhaps the nail in the coffin against this Cougars team.
Conant did not need to give up the 3 off the inbound pass.
That was an excellent inbound play setup there for Coach Bob Wildowski when they drew that one up. As Bryce had a good 4 feet of separation in front of him before the nearest defender tried to put up an arm to challenge that shot.
So a 14-point lead for Fremd going into the 4th quarter.
Got 3 players with 7 points respectively. Jake Schofstall and the Hopkin brothers, Bryce and Kamen. Smiros has 3. So 4 of the 5 out on the floor for Fremd have 24 of the team's 36 points.
And last week's attempted 4th quarter heroics by Conant fell short. Will he be able to make the same effort here tonight?
Conant will have the ball to begin the 4th quarter, down by 14. They are going to need another rally, as Bruce mentioned. And we'll see if we will have that from Conant here on our HGTV Game of the Week. 4th quarter underway. A lot will need to go in Conant's favor here in the next 8 minutes. And that will not be one of them. Anthony Walko comes in now, along with Dean Gannis for Fremd, respectively. As Carlisle comes off for the Vikings, and Roque is off for the Cougars. And for most of this game here, Bruce, when it comes to some of the turnovers and the offensive fouls that have gone on in Conant, there's been a good chunk of this that have been self-inflicted against the Cougars on themselves here tonight, as the left arc 3 is up and nothing but net for John Smiros.
Wow.
They're calling it a long 2. Officials called a long 2 on the floor, 38-22, as this pass in for Ellis. Jump ball is called and the possession arrow goes to Fremd. And now they actually are going to roll to 3. So maybe after a late discussion, it is a 3. So it is 39-22. Scoreboard only gave him a 2-pointer off that one for a moment, but they did rule it now a 3. Oh, and a bad pass there as Ellis gets the steal for Conant. A little lackluster there from Fremd and out of character as Mittal goes up for the shot, no. And the rebound to Smiros. Bounce pass, that's another risky one. And Fremd being a little sloppy here with the ball in the last minute or so. And now they'll try to settle things down and get back to their sets up by 17.
And right now the clock, Fremd's best friend.
Bryce Hopkins in, and the shot will not count. They're going to say with the foul occurred on the floor. It's going to go on Benini. That'll be Benini's 3rd personal, team's 2nd of the half. Smiros to inbound on the baseline. Gannis, that's a Schofstall. He's one of 3 scorers on the floor with Fremd with 7 points. It's been an all-around offensive production from the Vikings here tonight. Not one true player leading the way in the scoring department.
That makes it much harder to guard.
Smiros driving, bounce pass, Bryce Hopkins, 3-pointer. Back rim, no. His brother came in the offensive rebound. And a pass to Bryce, who wanted Gannis behind him. There's a little bit of miscommunication between those two. Gives it back to Conant with 6:06 to play in regulation.
That was a pass to his coach.
It's not one that Bob Wildowski would want to receive, though, as he is 6 minutes away now from closing on win number 299. Walko for Benini for 3. He swishes it. 39-25. Haven't seen a lot of the 3-ball attempts here tonight from rather either side. Conant may have to try to do that here in the final 5:41 as a whistle and a foul goes on the Cougars for a reach-in, as that is going to be Benini's 4th.
Seems that Fremd has had more of the 3s here tonight so far.
Reiner Roque was going to check in for a moment. Now they're going to say Jason Kofer will head to the scorer's table. He'll come in after the next dead ball. I have to imagine he'll come in for Benini, who's got 4 fouls. No whistle in the paint, and the pass up and good for Cayman Hopkins. (41-25). Mattel, top of the circle, guarded by Bryce Hopkins. Kicked out right corner, Benini, 3, short. And the rebound to Bryce Hopkins as it's a 2-on-0 the other way. And with the easy layup and finish, it's Jake Schofstall to make it 43-25 with 5:03 to go. And a timeout called by the Cougars, who are perhaps looking at their 3rd loss in a row after this one concludes tonight. And for Fremd, this could extend their winning streak up to 6 games in a row.
And Conant, who came out in the second half with a lot of energy, just falling flat here. Chasing 18 points.
And for the Conant Cougars, who are going to be in that York Jack Tosh Classic starting next Wednesday, they'll begin that tournament against Minooka High School. And they'll be game 2 of the day 1 portion. That's a 10:30 tip-off, projected tip-off, I should say. As we all know how tournament works out in the high school level, those are projected start times. That doesn't mean that they're actually going to start on time. The only ones we always know that are always the first game of the 8 or 16 games played each day in whatever tournament you're going to be in. After that, it's always a scramble. And for the Fremd Vikings, they'll begin the Wheeling Harwood Classic at 10:30 a.m. when they take on Libertyville in the Wheeling Harwood Classic. As this pass goes out of bounds, it'll stay with the Cougars. So tournament play for the next week for everybody around the state of Illinois. And for Conant, they'll be back to action in a cross-conference rival when they head to Rolling Meadows on January 8th. As a steal there from Bryce Hopkins, we'll have Fremd get the ball back. And for these Fremd Vikings, they'll be at Elk Grove, as will be West versus East action as well, as they'll be taking on the Grenadiers, who are struggling at 2-8 so far, 0-3 in the East here in 2018, and going into 2019, they will be. Conant will be seeing those Grenadiers over at the Jack Tosh Classic, perhaps, next Wednesday, or Thursday and Friday going forward even. Pass inside, Cayman Hopkins has it roll through the rim and the net. 45-25, it's a 20-point lead for the Vikings.
Just when it looked like Fremd was going to work the clock, they shoot a dart in underneath the bucket for an easy layup.
Head coach Jim Maley going to empty out his bench on the next dead ball. We'll get you those numbers in a moment, as there'll be 5 new players on the floor for Conant with now 3:40 to go. Von Ellis in the paint, has it poked away and stolen. That's just been the theme of this second half. As in transition is Smiros, who gets fouled going up for the shot, and he'll be at the line for 2. Zach Chenault will come on in, number 1 for the Cougars. Also Dylan Block, number 14, Abaz Karafili, number 15. Brandon Blakely, number 11. Mentioned he'll be coming in a moment. Smiros at the line. That was the 4th team foul on Conant. First one is good. And Ryan Roque will also be in, as the 5 for Conant come out in Kofer, Wackel, Ellis, Mattal, and Kolev.
Boy, talk about your lane change.
I was able to be on top of that, though. I had time because there was action still going on while they were out on the floor. Meanwhile, for Fremd, only 1 change here, thankfully. Tim Carlisle comes in for Bryce Hopkins. Second free throw now for Smiros, the 6-foot senior guard. And it is up and good. 47-25 in favor of the visiting Vikings, who will look to go to 8-2 on the year, 4-0 in the West. As Roque drives baseline, stutter steps, misses the shot. Second chance, no good from Karafili. And Fremd with not a lot of hurry-up tempo here, as they Want to drain this out up by 22, 3:10 to go.
Too far underneath the basket on those last attempts for Conant. Had to reach backwards to get out from underneath it.
I mentioned for the Vikings, head coach Bob Wildowski just under 3 minutes away from getting win number 299. Well, high pass there, almost. Head coach Bob Wildowski was looking for that one. He already had one pass come his way, and that one may have knocked him in the back of the head if that pass hadn't been received from Schofstall.
Yeah, not a good thing to bump your coach in the head with a pass.
Especially with you being up by 22. Just keep away now for Fremd. And that one actually faked out Blakely, as that's going to be a whistle and a timeout, as it looks like head coach Bob Wildowski will empty out his bench and calling that timeout for that reason. And it's only a 30-second timeout. Yeah, some of the Conant faithful a moment ago I saw were heading for the exits already. As Conant will fall then to 2-2 in the conference and 5-6 on the season. So they'll dip under 500. As this will now be their third loss in a row once the final 2:15 tick off. We'll get to the new 5 on the floor for the Vikings now, as it'll be Max Wexley, number 12, Tim Carlisle, number 14, number 42, Charlie Towns, number 30, and Matt Wingen, and number 32, Peter Martin. So those are your new Vikings 5 on the floor. Both teams have decided now to empty their benches out for the final couple minutes.
Always good to get your backup some playing time, get them some experience.
The foul there goes on Abaz Kirafili. And for Fremd now, Ryan Palmer comes in for Tim Carlisle. And it's Palmer getting it off the inbound. And with all the guys coming off the bench in now, Bruce, this is one of those where both teams, Fremd specifically is going to play keep away, because these guys that are on the floor for Fremd as a foul is called, they want to pad their stats a little bit here in the final minute 52 of action.
Or establish some stats, depending on how much playing time they've had.
The baseline inbound here for the Vikings, that's the 16th foul. Foul there went on Kirafili, that's his first. It's the team 6 for Conant, as we now have 100 seconds to go. As we'll again wish everybody a happy holidays to wherever you may be celebrating, and a happy new year going into 2019. As coming in now for Fremd will be Mike Naley, number 23. Towns will come out. At the line shooting with the 1-and-1, as that was the third personal on Dylan Block. 17th foul.
Is it a blocking foul?
I believe they may have called actually a reach-in, as the free throw off the 1-and-1 misses. Much better offensive efficiency from Fremd here tonight. Because again, they only shot 39% against Palatine last week, as the shot is up and good from downtown for Brandon Blakely. 47-28, that's his first field goal of the contest tonight. So now a minute to go. Palmer up ahead to Max Wexley. And then Matt Wingen back to Wexley, right arc, and a whistle and a timeout called by Fremd. It's going to be just a substitution timeout on the floor, as more of the bench gets emptied for Fremd, as Tafara Okamore now comes on in, along with Antonio Vandalo. Russell Beaupre comes in, along with Connor Williams.
And Conant also substituting here. A lot of fresh faces.
Vishal Patel in. This is the only change for Conant. Because now that would officially make every Fremd player active into the ball game here tonight, as we have 35 seconds to go. We'll say happy holidays to you and a happy new year, and I'll be seeing you back in January for some more MSL action.
Sounds good. I hope you enjoy your tournaments.
Yes. I'll be over at the Hinsdale Classic checking things out over there as we get our holiday break here from HGTV. As a fake pass inside, no foul called, as the ref's just gonna let them play this one out with 10 to go. The drive and the kick out, and thinking about the through is Bandalo. Off the screen with 3, and Okamura is just gonna hold it out. Classy move there, and that does it. A dominant performance from the Fremd Vikings here tonight to make it their 6th straight win as they defeat the Conant Cougars by the score of 47-28. For Fremd, they go to 4-0 in the West, 8-2 overall. And for the Cougars, they fall to 2-2 and 5-6 overall on their season. Bruce, final thoughts?
Well, coming back in the new year, we will be at Fremd, seeing these same Vikings hosting the Schaumburg Saxons. So that should be a good game. Looking forward to it.
Schaumburg 2-1, 8-3 overall coming into action tonight. We'll see how everybody plays out after their respective holiday tournaments. As we mentioned, Fremd now heads to Wheeling for the Hardwood Classic, and for Conant, they head to the infamous York Jack Tosh Classic over in Elmhurst at York High School. For Bruce Anderson, I'm Ryan Fay. Again, final score, Fremd 47, Conant 28. Happy holidays, happy new year from all of us here at HGTV.